Hi, boys and girls. I'm going to go over your work with you today for your packet. This is Mrs. Trevino. We're looking at week 3, day 4. Today is April 16th, 2020. And just so you know, I miss your laughter, and I bet your teachers can say that as well. I hope that we're able to see each other and be together again real soon. Let's go ahead and get started. If you look at the lesson plan, we are going to start with reading. The first thing it lists under ELAR is to read the passage Snow Leopards and answer the questions. We're going to need our handout, which you should have in your packet, a pencil, green, blue, and purple crayons. If you don't happen to have crayons, colored pencils, or I'm going to be using highlighters because it's what I have handy, whatever you have will work. So here's the passage that is listed on the lesson plan. You will see that it does say Thursday, and here is the title that I talked about. This is called Snow Leopards. And one of the things that we're going to be looking at is we're going to be looking at the main idea, which of course is what the story is mainly about. We can also talk about what a paragraph is mainly about. And we know what it's mainly about because of the details that are included in the story. So we're going to go ahead and get started with snow leopards. Please read along with me. Snow leopards. Snow leopards are big cats that live in the mountains in Central Asia. They are endangered. There are only about 6,000 snow leopards left in the wild. A snow leopard's fur is thick to keep it warm. A snow leopard will wrap its tail around its body to stay warm when it is sleeping. Snow leopards have wide paws that keep them from sinking into the snow. Snow leopards hunt other animals for food. They hide and wait for other animals to come close. Then they jump out and attack. Snow leopards eat ibex, Himalayan blue sheep, and smaller mammals. Now, if we were going to look at the main idea, we already know that the main idea is snow leopards because the title told us that. And once we read the story, we saw that every single paragraph in the story gave us some sort of information about snow leopards. We can also look for the main idea in every paragraph, which is what they're going to have us doing when we answer the questions on the side. Now, first off, boys and girls, please write your name on your paper so that when your parents send in your paper, your teacher knows exactly whose paper they are receiving. We're going to be coloring the text to show how we know. And this is where we're going to need our green crayon. I told you I was going to use a highlighter, so here's my highlighter. I am looking for where do snow leopards live. Well, when I go back to my passage, I remember that that was very close to the beginning of the story. So I'm going to go back to the beginning and reread. Snow leopards are big cats that live in the mountains in Central Asia. Where do they live? In Central Asia. Here is a key detail that gives me more information about my main idea, snow leopards. I'm going to highlight that they live in the mountains in Central Asia. Then I'm going to come write what I have highlighted on the line. Snow, and I'm going to write a little higher in case I need more space. Snow leopards live in the mountains of Central Asia. So this is a key detail that gives me more information about my main idea, which is snow leopards. Moving on to number 2, this is where we're going to need our blue crayon, so you can get that ready. How does each of these parts of a snow leopard help it to survive in the mountains? So every part of the snow leopard's body helps it. They want us to tell them how fur helps a snow leopard survive in the mountains. When I come look at the second paragraph, I see that right away it's talking about its fur. The fur is thick to keep it warm. So what reason does fur have for being on a snow leopard's body? Fur keeps it warm. Because obviously in the mountains it gets very cold. Then they ask me about the tail. What does the tail do for a snow leopard? It tells me right here. Wrap its tail around its body to stay warm when it is sleeping. So it only does that when it is sleeping. The tail keeps it warm while sleeping. And then they ask us about the paws. How do paws help a snow leopard? Snow leopards have wide paws that keep them from sinking into the snow. Paws keep them from sinking into the snow. Now we're moving on to the third question, and you now need your purple crayon. What is the main idea of the last paragraph? I know that this is the last paragraph because remember, every time that they indent, a new paragraph is being started. Well, before I can figure out the main idea, it's always a good idea to go back and reread so that that information is fresh in your mind. Snow leopards hunt other animals for food. They hide and wait for other animals to come close. Then they jump out and attack. Snow leopards eat ibex, Himalayan blue sheep, and smaller mammals. Well, let's think about it. What kind of information did they give me here? The entire paragraph is all about what the snow leopards do in order to eat. They gave me key details that help me figure it out. The details tell me that they hide and wait for animals, that they jump out and they attack, and then they listed what the snow leopard eats. All of those are key details which help me understand the main idea. So is the main idea A, snow leopards eat ibex and Himalayan blue sheep? The entire paragraph was not about that, was it? This is just a detail that gave me information. So I can cross out A, I know that's not it. Snow leopards jump out and attack. In the last paragraph, is that all they talked about? Was the whole thing about how they jump out and attack? That was in the paragraph, but the whole paragraph was not about that. That was just a detail. Snow leopards hunt other animals for food. Was the entire paragraph about what snow leopards do to get food? It was, wasn't it? And it was the very first sentence of the paragraph. Many times, boys and girls, the main idea is the first sentence of the paragraph. It is not always the first sentence. Sometimes it is the last sentence, and sometimes the author hides it in the middle. But we're always looking for a sentence that tells us what the entire paragraph is about. This entire paragraph was about how snow leopards hunt other animals for food. That wasn't too hard, was it? Now, once you're done with that, if you want to go back and color the crayons, if that's something you like to do, you most certainly can. But I'm going to move on to the next thing. You have a couple of choices that you can do for writing. Now, when we put this packet together, we thought all of it would be used in March. And of course, St. Patrick's Day was in March, so that's why you have some shamrocks. These are just story ideas. So you can find this page and pick one of these that you would like to write a story about. And I wanted to just go over with you very quickly, when you write your story, if you could try to get some prefixes in your story to make your story just a little bit more interesting. So I thought I would just review a couple of prefixes with you. Excuse me. A prefix, of course, is a word part that you add to the beginning of a base word in order to change its meaning. So here on our anchor chart, we see that the prefix re means again. And here's an example, reread. In other words, she's read the book before and she's going to read it again. Un means not. Unhappy means that we're not happy, and you can see that because of the look on his face. The prefix dis can mean not, or it can mean the opposite of something. So thumbs down means, of course, that we disagree. We do not agree with whatever statement was made. The prefix mis means wrongly. We've made a mistake somewhere, and here you can see that they misspelled the word they. They used an A instead of the E. So misspell means that they spelled it wrong. Pre means before. Preschool is the little school that you go to before you go to school where you start getting grades. Over can mean too much. When we oversleep, we slept too much. Maybe we slept right through the alarm. I am, IL, and IR all mean not. And they gave you one example, impossible. You see that the pig has wings here. Well, that's impossible because pigs don't fly. Then non means not. Non-fiction means that this book about penguins is not fiction. It is real. We know that because we can see that this is a photograph on the cover of the book. So if you can, try and use some prefixes in the story that you write. And then make sure that you use your checklist. Make sure that you have a capital letter at the beginning of a sentence. And if you're using a proper noun or you're using the pronoun I, that you use a capital letter. Use the correct punctuation at the end of your sentence. If you're telling us, you can use a period. If you're saying it with a lot of emotion or excitement, definitely use an exclamation point. Or if you're asking a question, use a question mark. Make sure that you use finger spaces between every word so that your writing is easy to read. And most importantly, make sure that it makes sense, that when someone else reads your story, that they will be able to follow it along and understand what you're talking about. And then this is the page that is in your packet. You will see that it does say Thursday of week 3. You can draw a picture that goes along with your story, and here on these lines you can write your story. If you happen to need more space, you can always flip your page over and write on the back. Then going back to our lesson plan, you will see that you can watch a video on sentence writing. The address is on the lesson plan before you actually start to write your story. Then for math, there is a YouTube lesson on how to use a broken ruler, a strategy for doing that. You can go watch that before you do your math lesson. And then there's a fact practice game here, and we give you the address for that. But for math, you're going to learn how to measure with a broken ruler. So you're going to need your handouts and your pencil. I have my pen because I wanted it to write a little bit darker. Now, you will start off with a subtraction fact fluency, and there is a column for Thursday. There's one also for Friday and an extra. And then this is the first page of your packet. Week 3, and it does say Thursday practice. These are measuring bars. So all of the pictures that we have are bars. Measure the length of each bar. You will see that each bar is laying on top of a ruler. And we can see that the ruler is in inches because earlier you learned that an inch is about the space from knuckle to knuckle. So if I put my finger right here, you can see that it goes pretty much from 1 to 2. I also know I'm measuring in inches because I have the inches abbreviation at the end of my blank. Now I know most of you just want to go look at the end of the bar and say, oh, it's 5, and write a 5. But we can't do that. We have to pay attention to where the bar is on the ruler. And you will see that the bar did not start at the beginning of the ruler. They started on number 1, so they're not accounting for this inch right here from the beginning of the ruler to the 1. So the best thing to do, boys and girls, is go to the beginning of your bar and let's count how many inches until we get to the end. We're only going to count the lines with numbers on them. When I jump from 1 to 2, I'm going to count. That's 1 inch, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to come and write 4. Why did I write 4 if it ended on 5? Well, I didn't start at the beginning of the ruler. I started on 1. So this inch doesn't take up any space. So I have to count from the first number to the last number that take up the length of the bar. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's how we counted that one. Let's look at number 2. You'll see that this is a different part of the ruler. This time we start off with inch number 5 and we go all the way to inch number 10. But my bar doesn't start at the beginning of the ruler, and my ruler doesn't start at the beginning of a ruler. It starts near the end of the ruler, the second half of the ruler. My bar starts on 6, so I'm going to count how many inches from 6 to 8 where the bar ends. 1 inch, 2 inches. From 6 to 7 is 1 inch, that's why I counted 1. From 7 to 8 is another inch, that's why I counted 2. Next, I start on 2, I end on 5. So I'm going to count how many inches it is to get from the 2nd inch of the ruler to the 5th inch of the ruler. From 2 to 3 is 1 inch, 2, 3 inches. So I have 3 inches on this bar. Number 4 starts at inch number 7 and goes all the way to the end of the ruler. Now remember, I can't just look at where it ends and go write 12 because it didn't start at the beginning of the ruler, because I start here on number 7. So I'm going to count how many inches from the 7-inch mark to the end of the ruler. I'm going to count inches. From 7 to 8 is 1 inch. From 8 to 9, there's a 2nd inch. Here's a 3rd inch. 4, 5 inches. Because from 7 to 12, this is 5 inches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Number 5. I start on inch marker number 5, and I only go up to inch marker number 6. Well, from the number 5 to the number 6 is how much? You're right. That's only 1 inch. Good job. Let's move on to number 6. This time I'm starting on inch number 3 and I go all the way to inch number 6. Help me count how many inches we have. 1, 2, 3. Now number 7, I start on inch number 7 and I go all the way to inch number 11 on my ruler. That's the part of the ruler that I have. Let's count how many inches from 7 to 11. 1, 2, 3, 4. And the last one starts me off on inch 10, and it takes me all the way to inch 12. How many inches from 10 to 12? 1, 2. And that's how you're going to do this worksheet, boys and girls. I did the first page with you. Here's another page. This one looks a little bit different. You'll see that it still says week 3, Thursday, practice. I'm going to turn it so that you'll be able to see it. This time, I don't have inches. I don't have centimeters. I have little blocks or bars, or even cubes if you'd like to call them. And I don't know how well you see the pencil. I think it's pretty light, but there is a picture right here of a pencil. I know when you're looking at your copy, it'll be a little easier for you to see. We're going to do exactly the same thing, boys and girls. We're going to look at the beginning of the object to the end of the object. The point of the pencil lines up pretty much with 3 right here, and the end of the pencil lines up almost all the way to 8. So my pencil is from 3 to 8. So what you and I are going to do is we're going to count how many cubes does this pencil equal. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm going to mark 5 cubes. You can color it in if you like. This is the length of my pencil. Then we're going to move over to the picture of the pen. The pen pretty much starts on 6 and it ends on 10. If you want to, you can color in a little scribble or color it in nicely if you like. Now, how long is my pen? Let's count my blocks or cubes. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 cubes. The next picture looks very much like a match to me. It starts pretty much on 4 and it goes up to 9. You can scribble or color that in. Now let's count how many cubes did it take. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 cubes. Now we have a nail. It starts pretty much on 6 and it ends pretty much on 8. How many is that? 1, 2. Now, next picture starts pretty much on 3 and goes to 6. You can color it in. 1, 2, 3. I have 3 cubes. And our last item on this page starts at 6 and goes pretty much to 10. How many cubes is that? 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 4 cubes. So that's how you're going to do these pages, boys and girls. I did the first one with you. You're going to do exactly the same thing for this page. You can color in from the beginning of the item to the end of the item, and then count how many cubes you colored in, and you can write it down. There's this page, and then there's this page as well, where you're going to do exactly the same thing. And that will be the end of our math lesson for today, boys and girls. We've done everything that was on the lesson plan. I hope that you were able to follow along. Do your best work, and please make sure that you write your name on everything that your parents send in to your teacher, whether they're using Remind or Dojo, so that we know exactly whose information we are receiving. Keep a smile on your face. Stay healthy and happy. I hope to see you and hear your wonderful laughter again very soon. Bye-bye, boys and girls. Have a great rest of the week.